Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. It's great to be with you again. I'm going to be colouring a portrait out of Amarantine by Anastasia Elly Koldareva, and I'm going to be colouring the mushroom girl. So first up, what I'm going to get started with is skin tone, and then once the skin is done, I'll move on to everything else. Alright, for the skin for now, I'm using peach, light umber, sienna brown, and dark brown. And I'll probably bring in a few other colors as we go along. I'm going to burnish with cream, which is going to bring in that lovely light, almost yellowish tone to the skin. So I'm going to zoom you in a bit so you can see a bit more. Okay, right, so along in here there's a lot of shadows, so we don't really need to build up too much layers here because it's really quite muted. So I'm just going to go in with the sienna brown. And I'm going to do a layer of sienna brown, then I'm going to go over that with dark brown. And that should be more than enough to really create the shadow here on her neckline. Now, if you want to do a lot of layers, you can just start from your lightest color and work your way up. Or you could do multiple layers. Right, I'm going to lighten up as I come into this section here. So I really want to make sure my shadows are in place. I find personally it helps me a lot actually with most of my coloring, is just knowing where my shadows are. Hi Mandy, welcome to the channel. It's great to have you. Hi Kenny, how are you? Hope you've had a good day and a good weekend. Right, so then around here, now with the Amarantine books, a lot of this paper is so good for multiple layers. Like you could do hundreds of layers on this paper and the result will be amazing. But if you're not a kind of person to do loads of layers, you just want to first, whether it's polychromos or Prismacolor pencils, you want to do a lightish layer first and then build up the layers. And all this does is it just puts the color down quite well and smoothly. If you go too hard too quickly, it's going to cause very streaky skin tones and a blend, and we don't really want her skin to be streaky. Kenny, I'm doing okay, thank you. We had a very busy day, but it was a productive day, and I'm really grateful for that. And tomorrow is going to be another busy day, but you know, It's all good. All right, so here, as you can see right here, I'm very light there, but I can go much heavier in the shadowed areas. So I'm going to just carry on doing it light, and I'm going to go back in with the same pencil, and I'm going to press a little bit harder in my more confident shadowed places. Okay, so here on her face here, we've got a mixture of her skin and her hair. So what I actually want to do is I'm going to kind of bring in more brown, and I'm going to bring in some greens to show that her hair is connecting to her face. What I want to do is create a color palette where I've got my skin tones, I've got dark greens, and then I've got very gentle but strong browns, creams, and very strong dark blues for the whole hair. So I'm trying to not go with the traditional, I'm trying to create this a bit more fantasy. So instead of keeping my mushrooms brown and red and what you see when you go for a walk in the woods, I want to bring in some different colors here. So we'll focus on the skin tone and then get that up and going. The other nice thing to do when you're coloring skin, or even just in general, and actually I had an artist friend tell me this, she take the same, so like with her body, I'm going to use the sienna brown everywhere, and then I'll go into another color and I'll do it everywhere on her skin tone, and that's going to help me develop her skin all at the same time, and hopefully I won't forget where I'm at, you know, if I come back to it at a different stage. And it sometimes can help feel like you're getting more of your page done when you kind of try work on the areas you're using the same pencil. But I had to wait about 4 years before I actually realized and understood what she was trying to tell me. So it took me a while. Oh, you don't have this book. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you didn't have this book. I remembered you mentioning you would love to do more or see more portraits done out of the Koldareva books. And I didn't realize that you didn't have Amarantine. So which books do you have? I have Amarantine and I have Mysteria. I think her lips we could probably do like blue, you know, dark blue. when I want to lay portraits down for days, you know, just layer up my pencils or do really slow focused pencil work, I like to do portraits, especially these big portraits. I'm sure you could speed it up with alcohol markers as a base, or I've tried Inktense pencils on this paper and I don't really like it. The paper buckles quite quickly, but that is another way of sort of getting your page complete a lot faster. Hi Noelle, how are you? Oh, I see. So you had a lot even with your Mariella Budek portraits and Lana Green portraits. I hear you. I really wanted to get Lana Green's portraits, but I didn't get it in time when she had them available on Amazon. So I think what I'll need to do is just save up and buy off her Etsy. Mariola Budek's art is just incredible. Although I'm not sure I want to necessarily get her work, only because I just can't see myself actually coloring all that hair. She makes the most beautiful portraits with these stunning hair, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if I would actually, you know, color it all and do it justice. Although I think it's a great way to practice hair, to be fair. Right. So I normally leave her lip area. I can probably do this. And then I come along here. And then I always forget ears. Oh my goodness. It's a regular occurrence where I actually forget that I need to do their ears. I think I'm going to do these little flowery things in here. White with little bits of yellow. I think that will look really pretty. Okay, so now we come inside the ear because, you know, don't want to forget the ear. Oh, wow, cool. So you got started with Mariella Budek portraits. That's so cool. I think Anastasia Elly Koldareva was after I got started with Hannah Carlson's portraits. Yes, because I think it was February 2021, so after COVID or around there, I bought Amarantine and Mysteria. I saved up for it. Okay, so I'm going to take the same pencil And I'm going to deepen up now here in these darker areas. So a bit more of a harder pressure. Oh yes, Sammy's amazing. I loved watching her channel when she had it going. Just amazing watching how she colored. It was her, and then Monya Gates. She also had quite a few amazing tutorials on coloring portraits, which really blew my mind, but I felt I wasn't there yet. But it was helpful to actually watch someone who understood color mixing and portraits and use things like greens and blues and purples in the portraits, because it really, I found it took away the shyness around coloring with those colors. I don't always use them, but I do like using them when I remember to. Because like I could have really easily, everywhere I've put my sienna brown, I could have put like, I think a yellow or an orange. Yeah, I still haven't quite worked out. I know when you want yellow and oranges, it's when you want the skin to have a warm glow to it. And I think when you want it to be more in the back and kind of cool, or if you're going for a cooler look, you use more of the blues and purples. But yeah, I haven't worked out all those nuances. Oh yes, Monya is a genius with her portraits. But I think she did a degree in fine arts. So she's also had, you know, loads of training and years of working with it to understand how it all works together. At least that's how I justify it. Yeah, I think having that sort of experience really helps so much, because you really have that artistic understanding. I think it can be taught and learned. It just maybe takes a little bit longer. And then loads of hours in practice. Oh yes, yeah. 36 different colors for portraits. Can you imagine? I remember watching her, I think she was coloring a lady. I remember there was a waterfall in the background, and I think the lady was dressed in armor. I watched a couple of her portraits, and she almost used I think the majority of her yellows and or her skin tones and some browns, and then she had blues and purples, and it was just really, really incredible. And she just knew what she was doing. It made perfect sense. I was so in awe. It's very inspiring. Yes, that is true. Some people do have a natural knack for it. But to be fair, portraits are not easy. Whether it's drawing them or coloring them in, they aren't an easy thing to color. So even if you attempt a portrait and you know, it's just brave just trying a portrait and getting started. And even if you have like just the basic idea, that's a great start. That it counts, because knowing how to shape the face, and depending on where your light source is and all of that, it really is not the easiest of things to do. And like noses, you can't draw a nose. You shape the nose. So when you struggling to shape the nose, it's just because it naturally is a hard thing to actually do. All right, so now I'm on the light umber, and I'm just kind of going more into my mid-tone here. All right, so where I'm doing the shadows, I'm pressing a bit harder, and then I'm just coming out lighter. I think it was one of Sammy's tutorials where she kept saying, don't worry if it gets too dark. Once you put the eyes and the lips and the hair, it tones it down. And that was also really helpful to hear, because it kind of took away the timidity of building up layers on skin. So I found that very, very helpful. I also watched a lot of Zucchini Kitty and her portraits. I found that also very helpful, because she really does know how to make effective portraits with, you know, just a few pencils. She doesn't necessarily use all her, you know, her skin tone pencils, and she was still very effective in creating delicate and beautiful portraits. So I found that was very helpful. Yes, it does help to not stop at the ugly stage. Yeah, I think if we just embrace the fact, the true fact, every coloring page, regardless of what you're coloring, has an ugly face. And you just got to get past it. Hi, Carly, how are you? Yes, Sammy is so talented. I hope one day she'll be able to come back to her YouTube channel. Right, so I forgot underneath her eye here. So I'm just going to try and just put that back in. Yeah, not till her baby gets to school. Absolutely. It's a lot of hard work with kitties. What you having for lunch, Cully? Oh, cool. Leftovers are great. Right. Yeah, I find it depends on what leftovers. I'm not always good with leftovers. But some leftovers I will eat. You could probably leave the dark brown for the very end, come to think of it. Probably doesn't need to be done at this stage. I used sienna brown first, and then I followed that with light umber, and now I'm using the dark brown just to really deepen the very deep shadows. Okay, so now I will take a peach color, and I'm going to go everywhere except where I think will be the highlights. Now, I think if it was to have a light source, it's probably coming from the right-hand side. So I'm going to go over in medium pressure over most of this now. Because the peach is your pink tone, and that's going to give it that fleshy color, which we really need. Okay, I need a little bit of light umber under here. I mean, the really fascinating thing with portraits is that there's so many color combos you can use for the skin, and so many of them are actually really effective, whether they're simple or complex and advanced. They all really can work really well. I think I'll do a very simple background. In the past, I've tried to do complicated backgrounds, and yeah, haven't been very successful with that. So I think we'll just leave this one simple. Maybe a very dark blue or purple. Oh, thank you, Kenny. You're very kind. The other thing I've noticed with this particular paper, I don't know if it's the prismas or the paper, but it flakes quite a lot when you're coloring. So like here on this shoulder, I might actually maybe shape it a bit more. It's looking quite a bit, yeah, almost feels like it's a bit too, needs to come in a bit more. But we can add that in. Okay, so I'm going to come back in with light umber and just add it in a bit more. So it can easily take me about 2 hours, if not more, to build up skin tone. It's crazy. But it's because I like to make sure I've got the balance right. The balance of the shadows and the reds, the yellows, the browns. Okay, I'm going to go over that again with some more of the peach and just try blend it. I have found that using a odorless mineral spirit on this paper actually works really well to smoothen and blend the pencil work. Now you can use a white to blend everything together. If you were to do a white as a blending pencil, I would suggest putting in some cream first and then blending it out, because this particular mix of colors, in my opinion, needs a bit more yellow tones, and it will just soften all the red. Hi Renee, how are you? Okay, I'm going to use a cream now, and I'm going to try and blend this all out, but I'm going to try not press excessively hard, so if I need to continue to work with the skin tone, I haven't burnished, because if I burnish I can't put on more layers, so if I make a mistake I can't fix it. And I'll try slow myself down a little bit more for this step. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you think she's looking good. I'm glad to hear that you are well. The other person I like to learn to color portraits with is Chris Chang. I really like learning from her. She also uses quite a few pencils, but I find her approach is quite easy for a beginner to kind of work with. Oh no, I'm not aware that my autofocus is on. I'm so sorry. I'll have to check that. I don't want to fiddle with it right now because I'm concerned if I play with it, I'll make it worse. Oh gosh, yeah, Monya Gates is out of this world. I do still find Monya Gates is probably more aimed at your intermediate to advanced colorist than a beginner colorist because of just how many pencils she uses, and she also brings in those greens and purples and blues, which I think if you're a beginner colorist and you're still getting your head around the basics of coloring, it can be quite intimidating. Hi Marilyn, how are you? Great to have you join the live. I'm glad our times could work out together. Okay, so this cheek here is bothering me, so I'm going to have to maybe erase some of that and come in with, I think, a light umber and then something else. But let's finish with the whole thing and then I can fix the errors. Hi Mona, how are you? Oh, that's good to know that Monya has got a Patreon classes. I'd love to do Patreon. I just can't commit the time. So I don't sign up for any of the Patreons that I would love to be part of. But there's a time for everything, and it's the same reason I haven't set up membership on my channel or gone into Patreon. It's one, it's confidence, and two, it's time. I'm very conscious of my time, and I don't want to start something and not be able to deliver. So I've just left the channel kind of doing what it's doing for now and take it one step at a time. Oh gosh, yeah, Christmas month. It's always a busy time of the year. Okay, so I need to fix her cheek. It's very funny because I fluctuate between I care about a lot of layers to I don't care about layers anymore. I just want to color and finish pages. And then when I don't slow down on the pictures that I need to slow down, I go, should have slowed down. Need to work on slowing down, more layers. Oh wow, so you were a Monya patron, but you were too busy to do the classes properly on replay. That's the thing, like you learn so many tips and tricks from the Patreon, from Patreon's memberships and participating in the colors and the classes. But yeah, to sometimes just forking out the time for it is a challenge. I do think like the Patreon classes are probably a cheaper way to learn art than, you know, if it's like needing it to be budget friendly. Whereas going for finding an art teacher or enrolling in a school, an art school, could possibly be way more expensive. Okay, so I don't mind the shoulder actually. I think that's okay. But I need to pull out some color here. So I need to take this all back because this is not right. And now I need to be careful. When something don't look right, you just take it back. And I've got to be gentle now because of the paper. So this is the part where it's like, it's an ugly face, and here I'm already going, please work, please don't screw up, please let me fix it. I think it needed more like a blush color than, you know, a pink color. Just knocking it back. Okay, and now I'm going to knock it back with cream again. Yeah, an art school would be more expensive for us hobbyists. Oh, exactly. If you can show progress in every stream, then that is a win. Oh, I'm with you on that, Marilyn. I also don't really like to recolor pages. So yeah, I have found before where, and if I'm really honest, I still do have it where I am anxious that I'm gonna mess up a page, or it's not going to turn out right, it's going to be a disaster, etc. And what I found really helpful was I saw on Instagram a thing on how the difference between an amateur artist and a professional artist is that a professional artist isn't so precious with their pictures and, you know, their paintings, and the amateur artist is always trying to make a masterpiece out of every piece they approach. And it got me thinking. I was like, well, you know, artists don't make masterpieces every time they color or paint or draw. So it's actually, it was like a permission to give myself the space and the freedom to kind of go, today it's not a masterpiece, today it's average, but I'm pleased, or wow, this one was my best. It just, yeah, it just gives me personally a bit more freedom to make mistakes, which, if I'm really honest, I think I need from a like therapy kind of way. All right, so her cheek looks a little bit better now. I still think it's not brilliant, but anyway, I'm very concerned I'm going to damage the paper if I keep working on it. So it will have to be what it is. Oh, well done, Renee. I'm glad you're not looking at doing masterpieces. Oh, that's a good piece of advice. If you're going to do an element that is hard, start with that. That's very good advice. Okay, I'm going to go in with the polys now, and I'm going to use chrome oxide green, and I'm going to try and bring some of that into her skin a little bit, just to kind of connect all this foliage kind of stuff with her head. So if it looks intentionally weird, in some ways I'm trying to make it intentionally a little bit weird. Because a girl having mushrooms on her as hair is just not your everyday. Oh, that's very clever. If it fails, then you failed quickly before you spend too much time on the image. And if it goes bad, you can start over more easily and not feel as deflated. Okay, I want the pine green. Do you like doing hair? Okay, so I need a really sharp pencil because I want to come into this part of her hair here. Right, so I am intentionally putting green in her skin now because I really want it to look cohesive. So yeah, I know it's weird, but I am trying to play and see, like, how do I bring this in? Oh yeah, flowers. Flowers and leaves. I find leaves can be a bit monotonous. Right, so if I'm just putting a bit of green here and there, so not too much, just a sprinkle. Yes, I remember seeing Manya using a green in her portraits, and yeah, I think I hadn't had as much experience with portraits then to really fully understand what she was doing or why. I mean, I got it, but I didn't get it all at the same time, if you know what I mean. I remember trying to use green. I think I used a chartreuse, but I think I was a bit too heavy-handed with it, and my skin tone for that particular portrait was very green. I mean, he looked like he had jaundice. So it was quite difficult to balance the colors out. And I did end up finding out more, I think it was a grey, a lavender, a greyed lavender or something like that I used to try and knock the green back, which sort of worked, but yeah, it wasn't one of my best attempts. So up until now, I haven't really done much with green. Oh, I'm with you on the weird doodly lines. I struggle with weird doodly lines. Okay, so the idea is to kind of create this here, very much mossy, but I want to move into some of these blue colors, because I was thinking of doing a mixture of like browns, blues and yellows, but it's a bit overwhelming, this picture, so we're gonna figure it out. Yeah, I think I'll leave the leaves last, so maybe I'll just keep on with the green and kind of go like in between here. Yeah, I find this very hard sometimes to know how to actually do this. I'm like, yeah, not sure. Okay. So this is dark sepia. And then I'm using warm grey 2. So if we maybe do some stems, place. I think these very fine things, I'm just going to use a gel pen on. Maybe like a gold gel pen. Honestly, Carly, I don't know what is in her hair. I don't know. Like, there's this weird thing up here, and there's this thing, and then there's leaves, and there's mushrooms. And I think this is like moss with rocks in it, so I'm going to try color it like that. And then you've got here mushrooms with slime. At least that's how I'm interpreting that. So yeah, I think it is a forest floor. Why she would want to wear a forest floor on her head, I don't know, but you know, she is. So I'm just gonna go with it, add a bit of a sparkle to it while I'm at it. So I'm gonna create it a bit more fantasy, hopefully. I honestly don't think you have to be very precious over these areas here. I think if you just give it a good dash of color, it's fine. Yes, she may be a forest nymph or Mother Nature. I mean, she could be an earth goddess if you really were into like mythology or fantasy. So she could be a woodland nymph. Okay, so if I do my dark blue kind of like mushroom thing going on here. Bye, Carly. See you soon. Take care. Hope you have a great week. Right, so in my end of the month video, I will share the picture I found on Pinterest for inspiration for my mushrooms. I actually thought they looked really magical. Right, I'm almost done with these, and then I'll move on to a different mushroom and keep adding a bit of a variety. Right, so I'm almost done. So there you have it, blue mushrooms. If not, why not? Okay, and then I'm gonna swap back to not that. Hang on a sec. I need to find my picture. So it's on Pinterest. I saved it. And just my luck, I can't see what the underside of the mushroom would look like. Well, that's not gonna work. I guess we'll just have to make it up. Okay, it can have a darker brown, I suppose, with maybe blue tinges. Maybe black and... Alright, let's bring in some artichoke. So Prismacolor, I'm using both polys and prismas. And we can create a bit of a... I don't know. We'll make it up. And some light blue. Alright, and then I'm going to use a white color to try and blend this out. So it's not like it's very dark, but it's also not yeah. think along here I'm going to put a light blue. I really don't want a lot of blue, so I just really wanted to kind of like hint at it. I feel like you could possibly use a technique similar to hair or fur, because these are so super small. Oh, thank you, Christine. Okay, so now that I've kind of figured out how I think I want to color this, I'm just gonna do the whole lot in one go. I really should use my polys more. I think they are just a really beautiful set of pencils, and I don't think I give them enough of a chance. I don't give them the time that they deserve. All right, so obviously I'm going to color all these type mushrooms the same. Okay, so that's that one. I think this one I needed to largely do very dark green and then make these stones, which actually I think would work really well. So we could do that, and then this side here I'm going to do very light, almost kind of like translucent. So if I come to some of these, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so this section I'm using Prismacolors because I felt like I could get a very gentle color with the Prismas as opposed to the polys, and it's also I wanted a more creamy look. Okay, so that, and then some yellow ochre. But really, it's just very little because I'm going to use a white pencil and try and blend this out. And then a bit of cream. Okay, so I really want to take advantage of Prismacolor's smooshy effect here. And really kind of get this really milky and soft. Okay, and then the top is a bit more like yellowy. So I take the artichoke. Then yellowed ochre. Then some jasmine. And then cream. So they have more of a yellow top. Could I outline them probably with white, and then the stem would be a lot lighter. Could even use a little bit of light umber. Okay, and then my yellowed ochre. Bye, Mona. Take care. Have a good week. Thanks for joining. Okay, and then I would take I hadn't really thought of doing an umber effect. I actually really find these sort of pages difficult to really create. So it's a very good idea, actually. I mean, I could make this section here very dark. So yes, I could easily create an umber effect. I think it depends largely how this kind of bleeds into that. I think I was planning on bringing some of the yellow, but it's not, yeah, it's like trying to blend this all into each other. I'll give it some thought. Because I was thinking maybe I do this blue, and then you've got like, I could do a yellowy green, sort of like slimy moss hanging over it. And then I think these ones I was thinking of doing a similar color, but maybe a lighter blue. So yeah, it might actually end up being similar to an ombre. We'll have to see how it goes. And then I think underneath it could be quite a bit darker, just to contrast the lightness of the top with the underside. Right. Yeah, exactly. I'll figure it as I go. So what I need to do now is bring the pine green kind of coming up here. Okay, and then I think I'll go for the permanent green olive. And this section needs the May green. But not too much. I actually would rather not do it too May greenish. I'd rather keep this actually quite a bit darker. And actually, we could give her green eyes. I'm getting sidetracked. Like, need to do her eyes. She needs pretty eyes. And they can be the same as the forest, because that would make her look pretty. Let me just put a bit of grey in her eyes here. There we go. And then I think we should actually have this. where it's really dark. It's really hard to see in between all these little gaps. I don't know how people do it. Need almost like a magnifying glass to see in between. Right, I'm almost done, I think. It's a lot of hard work, all these little nooks and crannies. This is where I get in two minds between whether or not I should have used Inktense as a base or pencils. And I generally tend to go straight for pencils. And yeah, I don't always think it's the most sensible option. because it's really difficult with all these nooks and crannies. So like now I'm just gonna color over all these little rock things, and I might use a gel pen and actually put them back in with a gel pen. Or I can use an eraser and just erase them. Okay, so if I use an eraser, oh gosh, me too. I'm glad I'm not the only one who struggles seeing the details. But I think it might actually work out better to use a gel pen for especially the smaller little rocks. I think I can get away with the darker rocks with pencil, but it might actually add a nice shine to just use the to use pencils on the bigger rocks, but then the small ones use some nice beautiful gel pens. Right, really then just a pencil, a white pencil, and just blend some of that out. I think I have a gel pen somewhere. So we can do a mixture of rocks. We can do some brown, some gold. I've got this, like, it's not red, it's not brown, it's just an odd gel pen. I don't know what color it is, but it is quite nice. Okay, so these are my Sakura gel pens, and I have this one, so it's a metallic pen, and I think if we can put some, like, just really mix it up, it will look really pretty. And then I've got like silver. You can have some silver ones. And then I've got gold as well. Okay, and then I can use a bit of a pencil in here and just make a squiggle, and then white pencil. Okay, so something like that for her hair, which I actually think looks quite cool. Okay, I'm going to zoom out so you can see how she looks, and then we can carry on with it another day. All right, so there you go. That's kind of my ideas where I'm going with this. I'll give it some more thought. I'll do what I know, and we'll see. Maybe we finish it next week. But thanks so much for hanging out and chatting with me. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you all have a great week ahead and happy days of coloring. And I look forward to seeing you in another streams. Take care, everyone, and see you soon. Bye for now.